The wolves howled and darted into the burning jungle. The Black Panther leaped from his tree and followed them in a panic. "What red flower?" said Sabrina. "They're talking about fire," said Daphne. "It's part of the book, but the forest fire is not. This story wouldn't have been very good if Mowgli torched the forest and killed everything for miles." "Speak for yourself," Puck said. "That story would rule." "We need to get out of here," Daphne shouted. "Right behind you," Puck said. The girls started to follow the fleeing pack, but were stopped in their tracks by Shere Khan. His eyes locked onto the children, and his jaws filled with angry foam. Sabrina couldn't tell whether the rising temperature came from the fire or that jungle cat. "You have doomed us all. The editor and his revisers will be here any moment. Perhaps he will spare me if I kill those responsible for the damage." Puck zipped down, snatched the girls by the back of their shirts, and a moment later they were raising up into the sky. "If Garfield the cat here won't let us pass, I suppose we'll have to take another route." Shere Khan leaped at them, swatting with his massive paws, but the children were already out of his reach and sailing over the fiery jungle. "Thanks for the save," Sabrina said. "No problem, honey bunny," Puck said. "Can't exactly let my bride-to-be become cat food." "The second we're on the ground, I'm going to put my fist into your mouth, you stinky, scummy sack of stupid," Sabrina said. Just then a stone sailed into the air and slammed into Puck's head. "Ow!" Flapping awkwardly in the air and nearly dropping the girls. Sabrina looked down and saw hundreds of monkeys swinging from treetops, shaking fists at them. "I think those are the monkey people we heard about," Daphne said. Puck did his best to try to avoid flying rocks, zigging and zagging around each projectile, but there were too many of them. Their only defense was to fly higher. "How does this story end?" said Sabrina. "We can't stay up here much longer." "That depends," said Daphne. "The Jungle Book is a collection of short stories. Technically this part's over, so the door might be down there." "You want me to fly into that inferno?" said Puck. "Yes." She hoped her uncertainty was covered by the wind. "You are completely insane. A good quality wife." "Hold on," Puck said. His wings stopped flapping, and the three dropped towards the ground. Sabrina was sure they were about to be splattered on the jungle floor when Puck's wings expanded and caught an updraft of hot air. They glided to safety and touched down on the ground, surrounded by burning trees. "Do you see a door?" said Daphne. "It could be anywhere," Puck said. Sabrina began to panic. Puck was right. She hadn't read the Jungle Book from cover to cover, but she remembered lots of settings. Council Rock, human village, giant snake's lair. The door to the next story could be anywhere. Maybe they should have stayed in the sky. Maybe they would have been able to see it. She wondered how things could possibly get worse when she got an answer. From out of the trees stampeded a herd of long-horned cattle. They tore through the jungle, their hooves grinding everything into pulp, and their horns goring trees and bushes. Their panicked bellows rose above the noise of the roaring and crackling fire. The children leaped behind some ancient trees for protection, but unfortunately, another wave of cattle was approaching. Nowhere was safe. "Don't worry, honey," Puck said. He spun around on his heels, and she watched him hulk up, a disturbing transformation. One of Puck's many abilities, if you guys remember, as a fairy, was to change into different animals, which didn't make it less weird every time he did it. His arms grew in length, and his shoulders hunched with dense muscles, as his whole body sprouted thick black fur. Sabrina could tell he was transforming into a gorilla. He snatched the girls in his huge arms, climbed a tree, and plopped them onto a high branch. A moment later, he morphed back to his true form. "We'll be safe here," Puck said. "Are you sure? Look!" From within the stampede, Sabrina spotted a herd of creatures kind of like cows, but they were small, pink, and fast, with little legs. "Revisers!" Sabrina cried. Everything that got in the way of the revisers was quickly devoured and vanished. In fact, the very jungle was disappearing. Every inch was being replaced with an empty white void. "I vote we get out of here." I second that, said Sabrina. Puck's wings unfolded. They grabbed the girls. Soon the trio was zipping along the tree line, high above the hungry monsters. But Sabrina felt far from safe. The entire world was vanishing. Not just trees and animals, even the night sky was being devoured. Each of the little pink creatures was an eating machine, chomping on cattles, trees, ground, everything. The editor's words echoed in her mind. Leave now, or my revisers will devour you. Daphne's eyes were wide with fear. They're very fast. Don't worry, I'm faster, Puck shouted. Besides, would I let something happen to my fiancé and my future sister-in-law? While we're on the subject, I was hoping we could discuss wedding cake. I'd like to go traditional, you know, something stuffed with wild boar and drizzled with spider icing. What do you think, honey? Oh, and when do you want to go look at engagement rings? Sabrina wondered if it would be better to shake herself loose and die on the jungle floor rather than take more of that stinky boy's teasing. You keep flapping your mouth, fairy, and I'm going to engage my fist to your lip. Just then, Puck's body jerked to a sudden stop. All three of the children fell like stones. They landed hard on the ground, groaning in pain. Sharp agony raced through Sabrina's hip. I didn't see that branch, said Puck. Branch? It felt like a truck to me, Daphne said. Sabrina stood up, nursing her wounds. She was sure her whole left side would be black and blue. We have to keep moving. The three helped one another up and began to stagger forward. There was no path to follow, and exposed roots and heavy brush didn't make walking easy. Before long, Sabrina could hear hungry, chattering teeth of the editor's pets behind her. She turned and spotted one darting in the undergrowth several yards behind them. How could she have chased after Mirror into this crazy book? She had signed their death warrant because she had made another dumb mistake. There's the door, shouted Daphne. Sabrina peered into the bush. Something white was standing in the bushes up ahead, something that didn't belong there. Daphne was right, it was a door, but could they reach it before the revisers devoured them? She dug herself deep inside and found the energy to run harder and faster. Her determination to save her family and herself made the pain in her legs vanish. Before she knew it, she was turning the knob and opening the door. Daphne and Puck tumbled through, and Sabrina started to follow. Before she could, a revisor clamped down on her loincloth.